In this week's Parshas Savo, we find the mitzvah of Vidu Maisris. The Torah Kedosha says, "Ki sechala la'aser kol masa tvuascha b'shana shlishis." After the 3 years, you gave trumas, you gave meiser rishon, meiser sheni, meiser ani. These are dinner of Vidu Maisris. V'amarta l'frei Hashem elikecha be'arti hakodesh min habayis. After these are 7-year cycle. After the first 3 years, a person is supposed to say vidu that he did everything correctly. He gave trumas, he gave meiseris, bi'arti hakodesh min habayis. And then the pasuk says, part of the vidu is, he says, lo yavarti mimitzvah. I wasn't over on any of the mitzvahs. That means I gave trumas, I gave meiseris, I did it correctly. V'lo shachachti, and I didn't forget. What didn't I forget? I wasn't over on any mitzvahs. What didn't I forget? So Rashi explains. Rashi says, "V'lo shachachti milvarechecha al afroshes meiseris," which means bepashtus, I didn't forget to make a bracha before I took off trumas and meiseris. You make a bracha. Asher kiddishana mitzvahs al afroshes truma, lahafresh truma. You make a bracha. So I didn't forget to make a bracha. And you take off trumas, meiseris, I made a bracha. And that means that Rashi is coming from a Mishnah, Meiser Sheni. The Mishnah says, Perikei, the Mishnah goes through Lo Yavarti Mitzvah Secha. So Rashi, the Mishnah explains what wasn't I over. The Mishnah goes through Min al She'inoi Minoi. But then the Mishnah says, V'lo shachachti, what didn't I forget? Lo shachachti milavarechecha, I didn't forget to bench you, Hashem, umelahasker shimcha alav. What does that mean? As we said, and the Rav explains, you make a bracha before hafrashas trumas and meiseris. So I didn't forget to make the bracha. The shaila is asked by all to make a bracha is a takana from Anshe Knesset Agdoila. There is only one bracha, maybe two that's deraisa. Birchas Hamazon is deraisa, and maybe Birchas HaTorah. Other than that, any bracha that we make, Birchas HaShvach, Birchas HaNehenen, before you eat something, and even any bracha, Birchas Hamitzvos is all derabanan. So what does it mean? V'lo shachachti, I didn't forget to make a bracha. The whole bracha that you make is only derabanan. So in the vidu meiseris that the Torah says to make, to say vidu, I didn't forget to make a bracha. The whole making of a bracha is only derabanan. So what does it mean, v'lo shachachti? So the first teretz, call it the simple teretz. The Marsha and Brachas on the Gemara and Brachas brings this v'lo shachachti, when there's a machlokes over there, how a bracha, what's supposed to be included in the bracha. The Gemara brings this pasuk that you're supposed to make a bracha. So the Marsha says over there, the Tosfos Yom Tov on the Mishnah that we just read, as well as also others that say de la derech, that it's taka only the Rabbanon, and the pasuk is asmachta ba'alma. Yeah, you find it. It's asmachta. And a chanami, this that what Rashi says, how the Rav explains the Mishnah that I didn't forget to make brachas, is tak only the Rabbanon, and it's asmachta ba'alma. As a matter of fact, being that it's asmachta, the Aruch HaShulchan, it's Aruch HaShulchan Asad. The Aruch HaShulchan says that if you take a look in the Mishnah, by other halachas, the Mishnah says that if you weren't makayim the din, you can't say vidui. For an example, lo yachalti ba'oini, that's right in the psukim. So the Mishnah says, ha im ochloi ba'anina, if you taka were over, einu yachalas vadis. The Mishnah goes with a few others as well also. Meaning to say, these many halachas, if you weren't makayim every halacha bediktuk, you cannot be makayim the din vidui. However, when it comes to lo shachachti, over there the Mishnah doesn't say, if I forgot to make a bracha, I can't say vidui. Meaning to say, even if you forget, you could still say vidui. Why? Because it's only the Rabbanon. So that's teretz number one, it's asmachta. It's asmachta. It's be'etzem only d'Rabbanan. Avad, the bracha is only d'Rabbanan. The kasha, however, is, the tzlach asks the kasha within brachas. The kasha is, the pasuk says, v'lo shachachti, I didn't forget. What is the pasuk coming for? I didn't forget what? If it's a drasha, so you could say it's not a drasha, it's a smachta ba'alma. But what the pasuk says, individually, I didn't forget. What didn't I forget? So you tell me brachas. Brachas is only the Rabbana. What didn't I forget? V'oid, they asked that the Mishnah that we just mentioned, the Mishnah goes through item by item, and it's mashma that every single one of them is a drasha. Just like we said, v'le'achalti ba'oini, everything is, we're handling the psukim. So Mela, they ask, they're miskasha on this concept to say that the pasuk says v'lo shachachti is coming on brachas, and it's the Rabbanan asmachta ba'alma. The next teretz.
I know. Do you have a teretz that kasha or not?
No.
Maybe v'lo shachachti just means I didn't forget. Like the whole purpose of Shul is I didn't forget Hashem. That's the answer. You have to remember that it comes to Hashem. The Rabbanan said help you along that by telling you make a bracha. You remember that you're giving Shul to someone else, so it's not yours. Everything belongs to Hashem.
Good, beautiful what you're saying. And Dama says that's the next teretz. I'll expand a little bit. So I'm not going to repeat. I'm going to expand.
It's not answer the passion just asked.
No, so then I'll explain. Let me say this teretz, and then please, if you say what you're saying is actually first in the first teretz, you'll bring it up again. The next teretz brought in the Mizrahi, as well as in the Maral, in the Sefer Gur Aryeh. The Maral's yahrzeit is this upcoming Shabbos, and says the following: even without the Takanas Chazal of making a bracha, there still is a din d'oraisa to give a shvach v'hoidah to the Rabbeinu Shalom on whatever you eat. The Chachamim came and made a takana a tzura of a bracha. But even before the takana, there was a din d'oraisa. And whatever nusach you want, from your heart you say out. It doesn't make a difference how you say it, but you're supposed to be masker and thank the Rabbeinu Shalom for what you have. For whatever, Birchas Hashvach, Birchas Hanahan, Birchas Hamitzvos, and that's Midiraisa. And Memela, Milavarechacha, yes, like what the Rashi Avada Milavarech before Parshas Shumas Amaisres, Avada the Nusach HaBracha is only the Rabbanan, but Be'etzem to make a bracha is a Deraisa. I just want to say this whole discussion that it's taka on the parsha, and it's negeya all the time, but it's also negeya coming up now. In Tishrei, we have 3 unique mitzvahs: shofar, lulav, and sukkah, that we make a bracha. So the mitzvah itself is a deraisa. So here we're seeing maybe the tzuras habracha is the rabbanan, but when you make the bracha, it's mid the deraisa what you're saying. The words that you're saying is the Rabbanan de Galoshen, but the concept of saying Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Asher Kedishanu on shofar, that is it's the Raisa. To give shvach v'aydah to Rabbeinu Shalom is the Raisa. B'hoisafas beer in Toras Emes, that's Reb Leibel Eger, Reb Kiv Eger's Einikel. He just expands in it and he says it's a milsa de pshita that even before Chachamim came and made a tzuras habracha, Yidden are not like a behemoth to just go and sit down and eat. It's pashat avada. You have to give a shvach v'aydah to Rabbeinu Shalom, and he actually teaches it into the psukim in a previous parsha. The pasuk says in Parshas Eikiv, "V'shamel l'cham patishkach as Hashem alekecha." You're going to have all the good, pentoicho, v'savato, v'atim toiv. You're going to forget Hashem. V'rom levavecha v'shachachta. Zok the Torah akdoisha v'zacharta as Hashem alikecha. You should remember. You should remember. How do you remember? You remember by thanking Hashem for the good that you have, for anything that you have, that you nehena, that you could do. You give a shvach v'aydah. you give a shvach vayda. Is memela zokt Reb Leibel Eger v'lo shachachti. What didn't I forget? Meaning to say is I v'zachartas Hashem Elokecha. I did this. Like what we saw from the Mizrahi, the Maral, that even with the Raisa, you're supposed to give a shvach v'hidah to the Rabbeinu Shalom and everything. V'lo shachachti means if I wouldn't have done that, I would have, like the pasuk says, Hisham alecha ben tishkach, you're going to forget Hashem. But v'lo shachachti, I didn't forget Hashem. How did I not forget Hashem? How did I remember? By giving a shvach v'hidah. So that's teretz number 2. The first teretz was that it's a asmachta. The second teretz is that no, the bracha itself, the nusach bracha, how you say it is the Rabbana, but the ikar bracha, the concept is the Raisa. The Chazanish, small piece, he says, La'olam it's taka only the Rabbanan. But now that the Chachamim said that you could only say vidui, it's taka, let's say if you say it's asmachta, but now the Chachamim said that you could only say vidui if you made a bracha. It's taka with the Rabbanan. But now you can't, if you didn't make a bracha, you can't say vidui. But this wouldn't be a teretz. Why? Reb Chaim Kanevsky in Derech Hamuna brings this out. He says it's taka like what my uncle the Chazanish says, that even the Rabbanon could be ma'akev saying vidui if you didn't make a bracha. However, that's not what the Torah, you can't say that's what the Torah means, v'lo shachachti, that I didn't forget to make a bracha. So on asmachta we had a kasha that l'chayra, what is the Torah coming to say? So the second teretz we said was a teretz of the din d'oraisa of giving a shvach vayda. A third teretz in Derech Hamuni says v'lo shachachti means I wasn't even over anything b'shoigig, b'chiddush. Means lo avarti means I didn't do anything shaloi kadin. V'lo shachachti, which means even b'shoigig. It comes out of chumrah to be able to say vidui meiser, even if a person was a shoigig, he made a mistake, he missed giving for whatever reason, or he gave it shaloi kadin, he still can't say vidui meiser. That's teretz number 3 in Derech Hamuna. Teretz number 4 is the Ritva, and the Emma says the Ritva is a Rishon. Maybe I should have said it first, but this is more of a chiddush. It's not the pashtus, so to speak. Chaim Kanevsky brings it and is meskasha, but it's klar the Ritva. The Ritva says with a klarkite on that Gemara, what's the deraisa? It's talking about after eating, you took off trumas of meisers, or for everybody meiser sheni, and you ate the meiser sheni and you benched. Birchas Hamazon is deraisa. That's the lo shachachti. When the Torah says lo shachachti, you know what I didn't forget? I didn't forget to make Birchas Hamazon after eating meiser sheni, not when it's fruits. When it's tvua and you made challah and you have to bench and you bench, that's the deraisa. So Lamaisa in Derech Hamuna he asks that l'chayr, what shaychus is it to the mitzvah? There's a mitzvah of taking off trumas ha'maisers. There's a mitzvah of meiser sheni. And if you eat meiser sheni, so then you have to bench. So Taki says that enechanami, lamaisa, it's a chelak of the mitzvah. But he says even a little bit more. He says, because by meiser sheni there's a mitzvah to eat. There's a mitzvah to eat trumas kachem. Since it's a mitzvah, and when you do the mitzvah, you have to bench. It's nichlal. It's a chelak of it. But akaponim zakter itva. That's teretz number 4. Zakter itva. That the deraisa that the Torah says that I did not forget is talking about Birchas Hamazon. You have to figure out how Birchas Hamazon is included in the trumas and meisers and meiser sheni. But that's the deraisa. The next teretz number 5. And at the end there'll be masakim all the terutzim. The next teretz is in Har Tzvi. He says the Shitas HaYerushalmi, the Bavli argues, but the Shitas HaYerushalmi is that all the brachas that we make are actually deraisa. In Karen LeDavid, he has a long tshuva about it, going in and out with this Yerushalmi. Being that all brachas are deraisa, v'lo shachachti to make a bracha, it's taka talking about all the brachas, it's taka deraisa. And Rashi, here that Rashi brings, going on the brachas, is taka like the Shittis Yerushalmi, and he says it's the derech many times for Rashi, sometimes to mefarish the pasuk, even though it's not la halacha, it's not like the Bavli. He even lines us up with a Rashi mishpata, but al kaponim, it's going with the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi holds that every single bracha that we make is d'oraisa. And when the Torah says, I didn't forget, in the video, I didn't forget to make the bracha, it's taka d'oraisa. Another teretz in the Sfas Emes, and this is more, let's call it in the drush, but another pshat, and he explains the following. He says, we have mitzvahs that we do. However, when a person does the mitzvah, a lot of times it can become mitzvahs anashim alimada. You do it, you put on tefillin, it just becomes a routine, and you forget to have the kavanah, to have a mind. In other words, you're doing a mitzvah. You're doing a mitzvah. Sometimes you don't even chap that you're doing the mitzvah. So he teaches, v'lo shachachti, I didn't forget that I'm doing the mitzvah. I didn't do a mitzvah anashim alimada. And Memeli says, therefore, this taka brings, a bracha. What does it mean, bracha? Bracha, the pshat is when a person does a mitzvah, not a mitzvah anashim alimada, brings a bracha. So akapanim lo shachachti means I didn't forget when doing the mitzvah. Sometimes a person does a mitzvah, he doesn't remember b'chalal if he did it, and even when he did it, it's mitzvah nashim alimada. So lo shachachti means I did trumas amaisris, not just because that's part of the system and part what I have to do. I did it because you're supposed to do the mitzvah. It could be you could be moisef a little bit onto this of what v'lo shachachti of why doing the mitzvah, and Rashi Lamaisa says milavarechacha. So the Sfas Emes says pshat is because when you do a mitzvah kitikun it brings bracha, but could be it's even actually referring to the etzem bracha, the ritva in Psachim Daf Zayin Amad Beis. I think I've mentioned it here in the past, maybe when we learned Masechtas brachas. But the ritva says one of the reasons why we make a bracha, zok the ritva, I think this is the lashon, kedei sheyiskadesh tchila bebracha. V'yegala v'yodia shu oisa b'pnei mitzvahs Hashem Yisbarach. In other words, you make a bracha to put yourself on track to say that I'm doing a mitzvah. With this concept, v'lo shachachti means I didn't just do the mitzvah and I didn't even chap that I was doing the mitzvah. I did it because I know I'm doing the mitzvah, and like what the Ritva says, the bracha that you make before is to be moirer that. So again, this teretz is, v'lo shachachti means that I didn't forget when I did the mitzvah. I did the mitzvah and I chap that I was doing the mitzvah. The next teretz is in the Shemesh Shmuel. He brings it from his father, the Avnei Nezer, that brings the Rimagash from the Rishonim. It's a tshuva. I looked up the tshuva. The Rimagash holds that the bracha of Shechiyanu is d'oraisa. The bracha of Shechiyanu. His Boker is the Rimagash, the bracha Shechiyanu. Again, Ogeya, coming up now to the mitzvahs in Tishrei, we make a Shechiyanu by shofar, by lulav, Yeshiva Sukkah, the first night by Kiddush, the Shechiyanu is on the mitzvah of Yeshiva Sukkah. So weiter, the Shittas Harimagash is that the bracha of Shechiyanu is d'oraisa. So B'meila he says, v'lo shachachti, what didn't I forget? I didn't forget to make a bracha Shechiyanu. It's d'oraisa. You're going to ask me, wait a second, why are we including in Hafrashas Trumas HaMaisros a separate v'lo shachachti? I didn't forget to say Shechiyanu. we don't spell out. Le'avarti mitzvah means min misheinu mean in all the prati dinim. So why are we spelling out the shechianu separately? The chayru shechianu also should be included in the mitzvahs. Le'avarti mitzvah. I wasn't over in any mitzvahs, including I made a shechianu. True, shechianu is a deraisa. But what's the pshat that we're saying, we're spelling out shechianu? Now that means you could ask this question all along, to make a bracha. So why is that not included? But he says like this, he says, if it's going on shechianu, I understand why the Torah spells it out separately. These the mitzvahs that you do, and then there's the shechianu that's before the mitzvah. The concept of the bracha of shechianu is that a person's giving a shvach vayda, and also shechianu v'kimanu. Person, basically what a person's saying, his emotions, that I'm mishtoikik, and I'm excited, and I can't wait to become this mitzvah. V'kimanu, the Eibishter kept me alive and brought me here to this day to be able to mekayim the mitzvah. That is shtoikikis, that excitement and happiness to be able to mekayim the mitzvah. That's before the mitzvah. Look, I did the mitzvahs. Everything part of the mitzvah, but not only everything part of the mitzvah, even before the mitzvah, the shechianu, the shechianu. So this is another teretz. What didn't I forget? I didn't forget to make a shechianu, and the broch. Whenever you make a broch of shechianu, it's deraisa. However, he adds on another important piece. He says like this: Be'etzem, what does it mean, shechianu? I'm excited to do these mitzvahs that we're talking about over here, to give trumas and maasros. Wouldn't it be better that a kohen wouldn't need to come on to the tzedakah of getting trumas and maasros? It's like if you make a shechianu when you give tzedakah, that I will able to mekayim the mitzvahs Torah to give tzedakah. Rather, there shouldn't be an ani. He shouldn't need to take tzedakah and done. So what are you making? It sounds almost like a little bit selfish, like you're making a shechianu that you got to be able to do this mitzvah. I'm excited to be able to do this mitzvah of getting tzedakah. Let there not be an ani, let there not be tzedakah. So let there not be a kohen that needs trumas and maasros. A kohen and a Levi, they didn't get chelak v'nachla in Eretz Yisrael, and that's why you give them trumas and maasros. Rather, they should have a chelak, they should have their own business, and they shouldn't need it. So avada, the Torah says to give it, and avada we give it 100%. We're not complaining of why we give it. The Torah says, and we taka give it. But you're excited to this time to be able to give the kohen trumas and maasros. Shechianu v'kimanu lazman hazeh. Avada, I'm going to do it, b'simcha b'tov leva, but I'm excited that the Eibishter brought me to this time to be able to give trumas and maasros. We would rather that the kohen shouldn't be of need. He says like this. He says, "A yisoid gadol v'noira." Very important. He says that every mitzvah, these asiyas mitzvah. For an example, if you daven already, you're going to go daven putting on tefillin. These are mitzvah d'oraisa of putting on tefillin. But then, besides the mitzvah itself, these the kavanas mitzvah. Yeah, many a lot say before, and then manachas tefillin. These the kavana of the mitzvah. And in certain mitzvahs, the kavana is even ma'akev, mitzvah yeshiva, sukkah. These the kavana. Why there is the mitzvah. These the kavana of the mitzvah. The Rambam says, tzorich lirdof achar kavanas haTorah. The Rambam, meaning to say, is it's not enough to just do the Maisa mitzvah. You have to understand why you're doing the mitzvah. You have to understand. The Meili says like this, says the Shemesh Shmuel Moiridik. We just asked, how could you make a shechianu and be excited to get to the time of giving trumas and maasros to the kohen? Rather, he shouldn't need it. So he says, if a person looks into the kavanas HaTorah of the mitzvah, for example, tzedakah, the concept is, Avada, you give the Maisa mitzvahs to give a poor person. But the idea is the Torah wants that when a person gives tzedakah to an ani, a person should be connected to the ani, to a leiv nitche, a anav, a broken person. There's something to gain from it. The same is when you give trumas amaisros to the kohen, Avada. The kohen gets supported by the trumas amaisros. Lo yashevet levi bilvad. The kohen and the levi, they're doing avodas hakodesh. They get supported. But the kavanas HaTorah, why we give trumas amaisros, is that we should have a shaychus, a connection to the shevet of Kahuna, to the shevet that's their heilige people. They work in the Beis Hamikdash. That's why we give them trumas amaisros. And for that, we can make a shachiyanu. That's the shachiyanu. If it's just the Maisa mitzvah itself, you could ask me, for what do I need it? But no, the idea of the Maisa mitzvah, the reason the Maisa mitzvah is also the Kavanas mitzvah. And with that he explains, the pasuk says, Lo yavarti b'mitzvah isecha. Lo yavarti b'mitzvah isecha means the Maisa mitzvah. Asisi, like the pasuk says, I did everything that you wanted. Asisi k'cholashet, I did everything, of course. But besides the doing, there's also the what we make the shachayonu, the haini, the havanas mitzvah. Like what the Rambam says, tzarich lirdef acher kavanas HaTorah. It's not just enough to do the Maisa mitzvah. You also have to do the mitzvah and understand why the Torah wants to do the mitzvah, the kavanas mitzvah. Shamati b'koil Hashem Elokoi, and then it says asisi, like I just said. Shamati, the Shamati b'koil Hashem Elokoi means not just I did the mitzvah, I also did the mitzvah with the kavanah of what the Ratzon Hashem is. Lastly, this is the last teretz, and then we'll make a quick sikum of all the tirutzim. The last teretz, the Malbim. The Malbim in Parshas Kedoshim quotes a sifra on the pasuk of Kodesh Ilulim. Says the Medrash, Mikan, to make a bracha l'fanav v'la'achrav. So the Malbim right away says, I don't understand. What do you mean Mikan, to make a bracha l'fanav v'la'achrav? It's only the Rabbanon. How could you say Mikan, to make a bracha l'fanav v'la'achrav? So he says, Enechanami, all brachas are the Rabbanon. But he says a gewaldige chiddush. The Birchas Hamitzvos, before eating Maisa Sheni, Trumas HaMaisros, Birchas Hamitzvos before and after is the Raisa. So a gewaldige chiddush. So B'meila, this would be like a Pasha Teretz. When the Pasuk says, V'lo shachachti, yes, V'lo shachachti, to make the brachas before eating, let's say Maisa Sheni, because that's Taka D'Oraisa. So just to be Masakim, the whole entire Shiur was with a kasha in this week's Parsha. How could it be that the Torah is coming to say V'lo shachachti, that I didn't forget to make a bracha, if the bracha is only the Rabbanon? Teretz number one we said is that it's asmachta. It's taka only the Rabbanon. Teretz number two, the Lashon HaBracha, Takanas Chazal, is the Rabbanon, but the Iker concept of making a bracha is the Iraisa. Negei again, Shofar Lulav, you make a bracha, or any bracha. Enechanami, the Lashon HaBracha you're making is the Rabbanon, but the words that you're saying, even if you would say it in your own Lashon, it's the Iraisa. The third teretz we saw is that afilu b'shoigig, that I wasn't over on any of the mitzvahs, even v'lo shachachti means even b'shoigig. Teretz number four, the Ramban, that it's referring to the bracha after benching, if you ate something that you need a bench of Maisa Sheni. Teretz number five is Al Pidi Yerushalmi, that actually holds that all brachas are D'Oraisa. Teretz number 6, the Svasemis, Lo Shachachti, means I didn't forget when I did the bracha and do it while I forgot, just mitzvahs anashim u'limada routine. I remember doing the mitzvah. Number 7, Al Pi de Ribagash, that Birchas Shechiyanu is the Iraisa. And Memele V'lo Shachachti, I didn't forget to make the Shechiyanu. And lastly, the last teretz from the Malbim V'lo Shachachti is referring something unique by Achilas Trumas Meiser Sheni, that over there, Al Pi de Medrash, that Achilas Kachim, the Birchas Hamitzvos over there is a Deraisa. Have a wonderful Shabbos.